What's shaking, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor live stream. Today, we're going to be talking about how to brand yourself to attract the clients that you truly want to work with. So before we get into that, guys, I just want to share with you once again, if you are interested in getting guidance and clarity when it comes to leveling up your brand's messaging, leveling up your brand's identity, getting help with your sales and marketing funnels, or website optimization, and you're struggling with that assistance in that category. I know a lot of my clients come to me and say, you know, Henry, it's great what you've built for me, but now it's so tough for me to maintain it. You don't have to be a past client to be part of this, although it is what would I say? It would be a plus if you were, but I want to introduce to you the Branding on Demand program. This is a monthly program. It's a month-to-month program, so I'm not locking you in for any sort of period of time. However, I do recommend that you stay in for at least 3 months if you want to get the real value out of it. So to learn more about the program, you could go to uniquedesignz.net/branding-on-demand. And there's a bunch of information about the program. Highly recommend if you're coming into any sort of work with me as a first-time client, to start at the starter program and work your way up when the time is right. It's going to give you a tremendous amount of clarity and focus and help you along the way. I was talking to somebody on Instagram over the weekend, and they were struggling because they were working a 9 to 5 and they're trying to do their side hustle full time, and they're getting stuck undercharging. They're getting stuck not working with the right clients, and it's actually costing them. It's costing them time. It's costing them money. It's costing them energy. When they could have somebody like me that's been there, done that for the past 15 years and could get them to where they want to be a hell of a lot faster. So highly recommend the Branding on Demand program for anybody that's looking for guidance and assistance from the design standpoint, but also from a strategic and consulting standpoint. I could provide a lot of information for you that could open up a tremendous amount of opportunity for you. So without further ado, I want to bring in my man, Awais Qureshi, back in the house. What's going on, my friend?
How are you, Henry, man? It was amazing seeing you last week in Austin.
Yeah, dude, I was so excited to finally see you in the flesh. It was funny. I was getting messages on Facebook after I posted the picture of you and I, and people were like, "He is a real human being."
I'm not a robot.
Yeah. So I was cracking up. I said, "Yeah." So we enjoyed. I got to tell you guys, Awais took me to this amazing barbecue place in Austin. Called Terry Black's. Big shout out to Terry Black's. Like, their food was amazing, but I didn't know that Awais was quite the barbecue connoisseur. So he started picking all these meats for us, and we had quite the feast. So again, I want to thank you for that, and thank you for coming in from Austin to meet me for the first time. It was
for sure, man.
19 months goes fast when you're having fun.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. Yeah, man, it flew by, right?
Yeah. So I know you're super passionate about this topic as much as I am. And for those folks that are tuning in for the first time, you know, Awais and I put quite a bit of effort into these live streams, and we have a little outline prior to going live to keep the conversation on rails and to keep it focused. And man, he put this together this morning, and I was like, wow, he hit some real key issues here and provided some great solutions as well. So I'm gonna kick it off by saying, Awais, why don't you introduce the first big problem that a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with when it comes to branding themselves to attract their ideal client?
Yeah, and this is something that I struggled with initially, right? Being in branding myself, but yet still lack that clarity. But you see a lot of business owners and a lot of businesses struggling with this, which is lacking that formalized, consistent message and a consistent visual identity that speaks to their clients, speaks to their ideal clients, and sets them apart from their competitors.
So I got a funny story for you. I guess it was Friday. No, it was Veterans Day. It was November 11th, last Thursday. And I was scrolling through Instagram and I see one of my clients' posts, and it was a Veterans Day promotion. And I immediately screenshotted it and I sent it to him in a text and I said, dude, next time have our team, you're part of the Branding on Demand program. Next time, have our team design this promo for you. This is completely off brand. Yeah. It looks so cheap and amateur. It's not consistent to your new upgraded look for your brand that we just finished up. How
frustrating is that?
Yeah, it was frustrating. So, at the same time, though, I got to understand, I can relate to him, because when I come up with something in my head, I want to get it out and roll it out as soon as possible. And it might not even have dawned on him like, oh shit, I got to give this to Henry's team a couple days in advance so we could roll it out on Veterans Day. So it probably just slipped his mind, because he's pretty new to the program, and the rebrand is new to him as well. So, but I immediately said, dude, no more of this. This is killing the consistency of the look and feel, which, again, subconsciously your audience is like, oh God, this is a Mickey Mouse brand. Meanwhile, he's the farthest thing from Mickey Mouse when it comes to experience, when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to the quality of his product. It's a shame. It was a missed mark. It was a missed opportunity that, who knows, could have costed him a series of potential sales that day.
Yeah, the perception of his value, diminished in such a small little post. Yeah, it has a far-reaching impact.
Yeah. So having that formalized and consistent message, that consistent identity, is really going to help position you as a subject matter expert and or somebody that's got some skin in the game. When people see the amount of detail that goes into your branding, whether it's messaging or identity, that's gonna make impressions on people. That's really a good point.
That's a good point. If you are that detail oriented and that fixated on making sure that there's quality to your brand and what you're projecting, imagine what that conveys to your ideal client. Sure. It tells them that you're equally dedicated to delivering whatever your offering is.
Yes, which brings me to the next point, which is another thing that you may be struggling with when it comes to branding yourself to attract your ideal client, is you're competing on price and not the value that you deliver. So the best way that I can explain this one, guys, is taking a look in the mirror and asking yourself, am I a nickel and dimer? Like, when I'm out there looking for a deal, am I nickel and diming my vendors? And chances are, if you're getting nickel and dimed all day long for your services, whether it's a service-based business, whether it's consulting, whatever it is, right? Chances are the reason why you're getting that is because maybe you're that type of vendor and that, or maybe that you're that type of consumer. And so that's why, like, the thumbnail on this live stream is be the client you wish to attract, because that's what's going to bring you the quality clients. If you want a quality client, if you want a high paying client, then you need to be one yourself. Because here's my opinion. Quality will attract quality, and likes attract likes. There's a reason, and wait, I think we talked about this in a past live months ago, but there's a reason why there's these cliques of these higher level entrepreneurs that they form bonds, and they form little masterminds together, and they all hang out in a tight little packs.
Kite surfing retreats with what's his name?
Was it Dean
Branson?
Oh, Branson, right.
Branson, yeah.
Well, I know a few. I think it was last year, or the year before. It was before COVID for sure. It was Russell Brunson, Dean Graziosi, Lewis Howes, Jay Shetty. There was a couple other people that went on that excursion. I think it was Alaska, or it was somewhere in the woods, and they took a helicopter to get to the frickin' cabin that they were all staying at. Like, there's a reason why all those guys are chilling with each other, and strategizing with each other, is because they're all high level folks that all have the same vision and the same focus, and they're willing to put in the same kind of work and level to succeed. And, you don't have to, if you're not at that level yet, that's fine. But think about the types of clients that you want to attract. What frequency are they vibrating at? And then check yourself and ask yourself, am I vibrating at the same frequency? If not higher, because you're never going to attract them if you're not. Right. So there's some questions here I want to make sure. I want to read before I post. I have a problem with posting things before reading them. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. I don't know if I wanted to post that. All right. Let me read this real quick. Yeah, it's a good question. So Peter says, do you find that once you hand off the new brand to a client, they sometimes tend to do Mickey Mouse stuff like this? Yeah. You almost have to hold their hands for a while so that everything they put out is on brand. And then do you charge to manage it for them after launch? Yeah. So that's where the branding on demand program was born, because once I finish a rebrand for a client, I just don't want to hand off, a beautiful new look, feel, messaging, the whole nine, and then expect them to know what to do with that. Right? Because they're busy running their business. They don't have the branding background that I do. Right? So branding on demand was formed because now they could come into this program month to month, and I could be their fractional chief branding officer, if you will, where I'm guiding and making sure, like I did with my client last week on Veterans Day, like, don't do that, dude, don't do that. And it was so funny. He texted me back and was like, I don't know why they're not following the brand. I don't know why. And then he calls me and he was like, dude, I was thinking it in my head when I saw that post. And then you texted me like at the same time. And he was like, I know. I got to get better at this. And I was like, it's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. But just know that every post matters. Every word matters. Every design matters. And when you hold yourself to that level of standard, eventually you're going to own it. Eventually it's going to be second nature. And I'm not talking about being a perfectionist. I'm talking about being consistent. I'm talking about just making sure that level of standard is leveled up, with each year you're in business, or each month you're in business after you rebrand. So
how you show up matters.
Totally, man. Yeah. Totally. So, that's my program. The branding on demand program is really to help them stay on rails. And then there's other brands that come into that again, I haven't rebranded, but over a few months, we can start to make that pivot, make that turn, and start getting them the look and feel that really represents who they are, right? And with that, the coaching aspect to this above and beyond just doing the design work for them really starts to plant that seed in their heads, like, aha, now I understand why all this is so important, right? So good point there, Pete. Okay, problem number 3. Talk to us. Oase, what do we got?
Yeah, your business isn't scaling, or your business is scaling at such a slow and sluggish rate. It feels like it's a broken down car.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, just picture that. I mean, you've got like plumes of smoke just blowing out the exhaust of your business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're stalling out. So
Yeah.
is that really something? Right. I mean, and Michelle just says it's like giving someone a Lamborghini who used to drive a Yugo.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
It's a great point. You know, it's a great point. So again, I'm a firm believer that you are what you attract. And I mentioned this earlier. You are what you attract. I'll give you another example. A few years back, I was getting these not so good fit clients. We'll put it that way. And anybody that follows me for some time know the types of clients, because I've talked about these in the past. The bullies, the big egos, the indecisive, right? The indecisive, the skeptics, right? And I kept asking myself, why the hell am I getting these clients? Right? The pessimists. I'm like, I feel like I'm positive. I feel like my head's on right. And no, that second and third layer underneath was what I wasn't addressing in my personal life and in my professional life. Those tier 3, tier 4 emotions that I kept trying to suppress kept showing up as clients. And the only way I was able to get through that is by getting a coach to literally call me out on my bullshit. They were like, there's no surprise why you're getting these clients, Henry.
Would you say that was a lot of self-limiting beliefs that were the underlying issue?
Totally. I wasn't confident in the work. I was in the process of scaling my team, so there was new team members. I didn't have my processes and systems in place like I have today. So it's like walking on thin ice, not knowing when that next step is going to cause the crack that's going to make me fall in, right? And begin to panic. And it wasn't until I started some personal development stuff, you know, I started diving deep into personal development. I got a therapist. I started really working on myself. And I started realizing, wow, you've come a long way, Henry. These are growing pains, Henry. This is not for long, Henry. You're not going to be in this place forever, right? Look at what you've accomplished. I started focusing in on that. That diminished the imposter syndrome. That stopped getting me focused on what I didn't have, and I started focusing in on what I did have, as far as skill set, as far as support, as far as experience. And I got to tell you, the minute I made that shift, the minute I got completely refocused, was the minute I started attracting more confident clients, higher quality clients that I was excited to work with. Not when they send an email or I get a Basecamp notification. I'm not afraid to open it because it's a verbal attack on my work and right. Like I went through all of that, dude. It was not fun, but I was just getting what I was putting out. I was timid in my approach, so I was getting timid clients. Right. So it all goes back to how you want to show up. And I think I was telling you about this. Telling you about this in Austin, like my morning routine before I went to the event. So those folks that don't know, I was invited to speak at Steve Sims' Speakeasy. Awesome event, by the way. If you don't know Steve Sims, go follow him now, because he's a beautiful soul, man, and he's one of the most authentic personal brands out there. I can promise you that. I spent 4 days with him, and man, he is who he is, man, and I love that about him. But I was telling Oasis, believe it or not, when I go to these events, I get a little shy. And this one was a little different. Before I went to the event, well, he had a little VIP dinner the day before the event. So I got to hang with all the speakers and a couple other people. And before I went out, I started listening to the music that I love. Right. And I started getting like amped up. I started remembering where I came from. And I started, it was just like a little mantra. I know Tony Robbins has his own little thing that he does before each, show that he does. And I was like, let me try this. Let's see if it works, And man, I showed up to that dinner like just so comfortable in my own skin and like ready to give, like ready to listen, but also ready to give and learn. Right. And so I sat at the head of the table. So there was probably like 25 of us. And I sat at the one head and Steve sat at the other head. And I know people like, I'm not sitting at that other table. I'm not sitting. And I just like planted my ass right there. I was like, I love this seat because I can see everybody in the room. Right. And I can address anybody in the room. And I just sat there and I felt really comfortable sitting there. Now, fast forward, the event happens, 40 people usher into the event. And I'm the first one to speak. I'm the first feature of the whole entire event. And I'm sitting up there and I'm just in my zone, right? I'm telling stories about the old neighborhood. I'm telling stories about how, I almost lost my ass a couple of times in business and how I bounced back. And in between, I'm weaving in branding strategy. I'm weaving in identity tips and all things branding. I'm weaving into these stories, and you should see their heads. They're all nodding and bobbing and they're taking notes. And then the cell phones come out, and I'm like, man, do I feel in my zone right now? And I was telling you offline, next year, I'm going to put together a branding live event. It's going to be 40 people because I love that. I love the intimacy of that small group, right? It's going to be in New Jersey. It's going to be a 2-day thing, and you'll learn more about it. But I'm going to host one of my own events for the first time. And you guys will get information if you guys want to be part of this. And it'll be a 2-day thing. I'm going to have 6 speakers come in all different categories that are going to help you build your brand. And we're going to kick some ass. And I'm so excited for this because I was like, man, why did it take me this long to think about hosting one of these myself? So I know I went on this long tangent, but when you own who you are, that's the game changer.
You know what I call that? Brand presence.
Yeah. Dom Fawcett will talk he'll talk a lot about that. He's going to be one of the speakers as well. He has another word. It's called command presence. It's a term he came up with with his brand. And when you show up with a level of authority, with a level of self-respect. I was watching one of his live streams yesterday, or not live streams. I think it was a story on Instagram. And he was like, when you show up to an event or something like that, and somebody, I don't know, mispronounces your name, don't let that slide. He's like, address it. Because people will understand. Oh, I'll give you another example. My cousin married this girl, and her father was a doctor. And I remember when we were at the was it the engagement party? Somebody called him Mr. last name. I don't want to use real names. Mr. last name. And he was like, I go by Doctor last name. And called that person right out. And I didn't think he was a douche for saying it. He was like, it's Doctor last name. That's what I'm talking about. See, when you show up like that, people are going to be like, oh, this guy's or this gal's no joke. Right. And I just think
I want to, so let me add one thing on there. So
please
show up and own your brand, own what it is that you want, own yourself.
Yeah.
However, don't come in with a sense of arrogance as if like
Yes.
you're undermining people around you.
Yes.
So certainly come in with this level of confidence that you take ownership of not just your successes but also your failures. Very similar to what you were saying. Like you were talking about how sometimes you lost your shirt in business.
Yeah.
Right? So it just what you need to do is come in with that level of authenticity, but make sure that you're bringing people along with you, not making them feel like they're alienated in any way.
Well, yeah, you're not coming across condescending, right? You're not coming across condescending. You froze a little bit, but now you're back. I just wanted to let you know. So yeah, people are going to pick up on that right away. If you're coming across like, your shit doesn't stink and you're talking down to people, that's not a good look at all. But let's talk about some of the solutions. I can't believe 27 minutes went by so fast. I try to keep these 30 minutes, but man, this is a topic I'm passionate about. So if we go over, we go over. But I think we touched on solution number one, and that is to get clear on what you represent. So who are you? What do you stand for? Why should people care about what it is that you do? Right. And I got some feedback. It's funny. I got some feedback, good and bad, from my presentation out in Austin. And the one guy said, you brought the humanity back to business. And I thought that was very interesting. That was an interesting takeaway from my talk. He said, you brought the humanity back to business. You were very clear on why you're doing what you're doing and why you're creating the content that you're creating. And it touched me, right? Then I had a single woman come up to me and said, I didn't really resonate with that because I'm a single woman. I don't have a family. I don't have children. So it didn't talk to me the way it talked to others in the crowd. And I was like, fantastic. It's not going to touch everybody in the crowd, right? It's going to touch the right ones. It's going to touch the ones that represent the same thing I represent, right? And then you and I were at the event, on the last night, and the woman came up to us and said, Henry, that spoke to me because I have a 6-year-old daughter, and it makes me remember now why I'm working so damn hard, right? And there you go. It hit her in a different way. So
one of us has a specific purpose, and that sense of purpose also comes into play when we're putting our brands together, and more importantly, when we're communicating our brands to the world.
Yes. Yeah. So again, solution number two is what exactly do you do in business? Like why does your business exist, and what outcomes do you want to get for people? I think is very, very important. And how are you coming into the industry differently?
That's right.
Right. I think it's important for us to understand that. When I got home from the event, I was telling my wife how I wanted to host one of these events myself. And she says, well, what makes you think you can charge the same as Steve and create something of that caliber? And I said, because I've been around for 15 years. I've been selling my knowledge and experience for 15 years. So that there is proof in the pudding. And so you have to own that, right? But how are you going to do it different? Well, nobody's going to do it. I'm not going to do it exactly like Steve. He's from the UK. I'm from Jersey. It's going to be a completely different experience. And big shout out to everybody from the UK. You guys bring your own taste. You guys bring your own vibe. I love that. That's what makes you guys awesome. We have something different too. And that's what and so that's it, right? But getting clear on the outcomes that you want for your people is very, very important. Hit them home with take them home always with solution number 3.
Yeah, number 3, if people don't know about you and people don't know about what you do, how are they going to buy from you, right? So generate top of mind awareness, consistently generate top of mind awareness, speak loud and proud about who it is you are, what you represent, and what is it that you do? How are you approaching it differently? Like Henry does on a weekly basis. Like I join him on a weekly basis and provide my input, my perspective on things. We're doing this consistently. We're getting in front of you guys to get you guys to understand all of that. And then, of course, with the visual identity, hook them in with the looks, and then make them buy with the message. Turn them into raving advocates. Turn them into the raving fans.
Yeah. The fancy design work is only going to do so much. Yeah. It may attract, a higher quality client for sure. But where's the substance?
Yeah.
That's where you got to go deep. Right? And when you have a consistent message, when you have a consistent identity, when you feel comfortable in your own skin, when you're being who you are, and you're unapologetic about it, you're going to attract the right vibe. You're going to attract the right tribe. You're going to attract the right client. So here's the big takeaway that I want you guys to get out of today's conversation. Something that's been on my mind for quite some time. Let's see if I could say this as good as I did offline. Here's my belief. You don't have to agree with me. But I believe in my heart of hearts that everybody on this earth has some sort of a superpower. They have something that makes them truly unique. I'll give you a quick example. When I was at this event, there was a woman there, first time ever at a live event, ever speaking from a stage. She was petrified, crying, emotional, everything we learned like in college, like public speaking 101, she did wrong. And I'm not poo-pooing her. I'm not coming down on her with the hammer. She got it together and she pulled through, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing to watch. And I give her so much credit for being up there. She didn't have to. She could have walked off stage and said, I can't do this anymore. But she finished strong, and we all gave her a big round of applause, and we all kind of gave her a big hug from the audience. But it made me realize your biggest strength, Henry, is public speaking and connecting with people and being intuitive to people. You could see things in people that other people can't, or even they can't. That's this woman's worst nightmare, is getting on stage and speaking to a group of people. So are you using your superpowers to your fullest capacity to help others? Right? And here's the takeaway. If you're not, there's plenty of other people out there that will, without hesitation. Remember that. The universe is going to respond. They're not going to, they're not going to carry the way, the universe. But if you have a superpower that you're not using to your advantage or to help other people, the universe will say, okay, we'll just give all the attention. We'll give all the money. We'll give all the clients to that person instead, because they're not afraid to use it. And that's something that's tough to swallow. It's tough to swallow. But that was one of the biggest things that I walked away when I was watching Jesse Elder up there talking. I don't know if you know who Jesse Elder is, but I didn't know. I heard of the name. I didn't know who he was. But when he got up and did his speech, he closed out the whole event last week, and he was talking about how precise and how articulate and how direct he speaks to the clients that he wants to attract. Like, he'll do like a meditation, and he'll say, I will attract 4 entrepreneurs that are already achieving success and help them with X, Y, Z through this program called blank. And I will do this week. And he goes and he attracts those people just by putting it out there that specifically. And then he gets trolls. Well, you just want to help people that are already successful. That's easy. And he's really funny because he's really witty with his responses. And he was given some of the responses on stage. We were dying, right? And the point that I'm trying to make is, when you're super clear on who it is that you want to serve, again, all comes back around full circle, then you know how to present yourself, right? But make sure that it's true to who you are. Don't try to be somebody just to attract a higher quality client, because I'm going to tell you right now, that blows up in your face too. Yeah. I tried to be, yeah, I drove the cars. I wore the clothes. I tried to put myself in certain circles. And it was like the universe was like, you're not supposed to be here. This isn't you. You're coming about this the wrong way. And I realized at that moment, now, Henry, this isn't the tribe that you're supposed to be serving. If it was, it would come a lot more, it would feel a lot more comfortable. The clothes would fit so much better. The messaging, the way you're presenting yourself, it would be so much easier to do.
It goes back to authenticity.
Exactly. And Jesse put this like Venn diagram. He made us put this like Venn diagram together, and he talked about authenticity. He talked about power, and he talked about clarity. And when you have all of those kind of working in unison, that's when you're really going to find the right you, and it is really going to find the right clients. And so, again, be the client you wish to attract. Own it. Own who you are. Don't be unapologetic of what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And if somebody thinks that you can't sell X, Y, Z for a certain price because it sounds ludicrous to them, maybe they can't sell it for that price. That has nothing to do with you.
It's their belief, not yours.
Remember that, guys. There's going to be so many times in the future that somebody's going to come up to you and they're going to say, there's no way you're going to be able to do that. Maybe that's the energy you need to prove them wrong.
So the question you have to ask yourself, is my belief, are my thoughts and beliefs aligned with my long-term and short-term vision?
There you go. I couldn't have said it better than that. I couldn't say it better than that. On my way home from my father's house today, I was listening to Jim Rohn. It's like an hour and a half drive, so I was pounding Jim Rohn in the car, and he says, when you set goals, think about purpose over object. Like, objects are great. Everybody wants objects, like cars and houses and right. So you want $1 million home. What for? What for? You want to leave people better than you found them. Why? Are you clear on that? Right? So purpose over object. I think that it was just a huge insight for me. That made me say, okay, I need to get more clear on that, even as a brand guy.
And that, you know what, that's going to push you on the days that you feel the lowest, that exactly. You feel like that you're questioning yourself sometimes, right?
Exactly.
You have that purpose. That's going to be the fuel.
Yep.
Objects not.
No, because those come and go.
Yeah.
All day.
They age.
Yes. Your purpose, when your purpose ages, it's like fine wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It gets better. It gets better. So that's all I got for you guys today, guys. And Oasis, I got to give you a big shout, man. Very present today. Very passionate about the topic. I could tell, I could see it in your face, and I could hear it in your voice. And that I appreciate you being part of this conversation today, because you bring a lot to the table when it comes to this stuff. And I appreciate you being super present today. I think it's
happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
And I can't thank you enough for that food over there at Terry Black's, man. I told about 50 people over the weekend how good that shit was.
you got to post up that picture of you with the Brontosaurus rib, man.
Yeah, I gotta put it on my Instagram. It's on my Facebook, but I gotta put it on my Instagram. So, guys, if you like this type of content, let us know. Drop us some love in the comments. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, and let us know your biggest takeaway from today's conversation, and share this video out to anybody that you think could benefit from it. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, if you're looking for more help when it comes to branding your business and getting very consistent with branding yourself and your messaging and your identity and having that accountability and the mentorship and that clarity, make sure you check out the Branding on Demand program, and you can find that on the website at uniquedesignz.net. And it's a Z at the end, not an S. And like I said, I recommend you getting into the program for at least 3 months to find the value out of it. But it's a month-to-month thing. I'm not going to hold you hostage for 3, 6, 9 months. I want it to be valuable for you, and I want you to get the assistance you need at the level that you need to help you get to where you want to be. So have an amazing day, guys. And unfortunately, we will not be meeting on this Wednesday. We have a family, I should say, catastrophe. I think I mentioned this earlier this year, but we have a niece who was suffering leukemia. I think I mentioned it in March. We found out in March, and she lost her fight on Saturday. So it's going to be an emotional next couple of days. And so I made sure that my clients are aware of what's going on. But this Wednesday, we will not be doing a live stream because of, the circumstances and family coming in from all over the place to support everybody here. So again, just think about how blessed you are just to be alive today, and make sure if you got kids or you got family members or loved ones, give them a big hug today, because tomorrow is not promised. So have an amazing day, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one real soon. Take care.